Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Carl Eugene Watts was a serial killer and rapist who was active in the 1970s and 80s. He was suspected of killing up to 93 people, which would make him the most prolific serial killer in United States history. However, he was only ever convicted of 3 murders. He was also charged with the murders of 2 other women, but those charges were later dropped. To this day, it is not definitively known how many people Watts killed. However, investigators believe that the real number is closer to 93 rather than the 3 people he was convicted of killing. Watts was convicted of the murder of McCaskill and sentenced to death. He was executed by lethal injection in 1990. Today, we're gone. Helen was a secretary, and the 2 of them lived together in an apartment. It was around this time that Watts began his killing spree. Mary Sue Kitts. The couple had 2 children together, and Watts seemed to be a good father and husband. However, it is suspected that he was continuing to kill people in Florida. He was linked to at least 20 murders in the Daytona Beach area. The first victim that he is suspected of killing was Helen Viola. He was also suspected of killing several other women in the Detroit area during this time. However, there is some debate over whether or not these killings actually took place. Now be looking at the life and crimes of someone suspected of being the most prolific serial killer in United States history. That is Carl Eugene Watts. But before we do that, I just want to say a special thank you to all of our subscribers. We wouldn't be where we are today without all of your support, so thank you so much. Also, if you like true crime, then make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. Now, let's get into the video. Watts was born in 1946 in Detroit, Michigan. He grew up in a middle-class neighborhood and had a fairly normal childhood. He graduated from high school in 1965 and enlisted in the U.S. Army. After his discharge from the Army, Watts worked a number of odd jobs and moved around quite a bit. He eventually settled in Detroit, where he began working as a security guard. It was during this time that he met his first wife, Linda. The couple had 2 children together, but eventually Linda left Watts and took the kids with her. In the early 1970s, Watts began dating a woman named Helen Viola. In 1979, Watts moved to Florida, where he began working as a security guard at a hotel. It was here that he met his second wife. In 1989, Watts was arrested for the murder of a woman named Barbara McCaskill. While in prison, Watts confessed to several other murders, but he recanted his confession after his attorneys advised him not to talk about the case anymore. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any information about this case, please contact the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I'll see you next time.